The story of humanity begins in a paradise, a garden where everything is in harmony, where Adam and Eve live in communion with God, surrounded by the beauty of Eden. But this story, as beautiful as it begins, takes a dramatic turn that has echoed through the corridors of history and theology. Genesis 3 tells the tale of the fall of man, a narrative that not only explains the origin of sin, but also offers profound insights into the nature of temptation, choice, and the consequences that follow. In this pivotal chapter, we encounter the serpent, a cunning creature that represents more than just an animal. The serpent is the embodiment of deception, a force that introduces doubt and disobedience into the heart of humanity. The conversation between the serpent and Eve is more than a simple exchange of words. It's a dialogue that reveals the inner workings of temptation and the vulnerability of the human soul. As the serpent persuades Eve to eat from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, the narrative begins to unravel, leading to a decision that will change the course of history. Adam and Eve's choice to disobey God's command and eat the forbidden fruit is not just a single act of rebellion. It is the moment that introduces sin into the world, a moment that marks the loss of innocence and the beginning of human suffering. But what does this ancient story have to do with us today? How does the fall of man manifest in our world, and what lessons can we learn from this narrative that still holds power over our understanding of human nature? Stay with me as we explore how the fall of man continues to shape our world, our relationships, and our understanding of morality. As we move from the ancient text of Genesis to the world we live in today, the story of the fall of man reveals itself in the struggles, choices, and consequences that define the human experience. The themes of temptation, disobedience, and the loss of innocence are not confined to the pages of the Bible. They are present in the everyday decisions we make, the societal structures we build, and the moral dilemmas we face. Consider the pervasive nature of temptation in our world. In a society driven by consumerism, instant gratification, and the pursuit of success, we are constantly bombarded with choices that test our integrity, our values, and our commitment to what is right. The serpent's whisper is heard in the lure of easy shortcuts, the enticement of power, and the desire for more, even at the expense of others. But the story of the fall is not just about individual temptation. It's about the broader implications of disobedience and the breakdown of relationships. Adam and Eve's decision to eat the forbidden fruit leads to immediate consequences: shame, fear, and the alienation from God and each other. This breakdown is reflected in the fragmentation of our own relationships, both personal and communal. The distrust, conflict, and division that we see in families, communities, and nations are echoes of that first act of disobedience. Moreover, the fall introduces the concept of sin, a force that corrupts and distorts the goodness of creation. Sin is not just a personal failing, it is a systemic issue that manifests in the injustices, inequalities, and suffering that pervade our world. From environmental degradation to social injustice, the effects of sin are evident in the way we treat each other and the world around us. Yet, in the midst of this darkness, there is a glimmer of hope. The story of the fall is not just a tale of despair, it is also the beginning of the narrative of redemption. Even as Adam and Eve are expelled from Eden, God does not abandon them. The promise of redemption is woven into the fabric of the story, foreshadowing the salvation that will come through Christ. But how does this ancient story apply to our personal lives? How can the lessons of Genesis 3 guide us in navigating the complexities of modern life? In the next segment, we will delve into the personal implications of the fall and explore how we can learn from the mistakes of Adam and Eve. The story of the fall of man is more than just an explanation of the origin of sin. It is a mirror that reflects the choices we make every day. Like Adam and Eve, we are faced with decisions that test our character, our faith, and our commitment to living in accordance with divine principles. The narrative of Genesis 3 offers us a profound lesson in the nature of temptation and the importance of obedience. First, the story reminds us of the subtlety of temptation. The serpent does not force Eve to eat the fruit. Instead, it plants seeds of doubt and desire. This is often how temptation works in our lives. It appeals to our desires, challenges our understanding, and leads us to rationalize actions that we know are wrong. The lesson here is to be vigilant, to recognize the serpent's voice in the choices we face, and to seek wisdom and discernment in our decisions. Second, the fall teaches us about the consequences of disobedience. Adam and Eve's decision to eat the forbidden fruit leads to immediate and long-lasting consequences: shame, guilt, and separation from God. In our own lives, we experience the effects of our choices, both good and bad. The story of the fall encourages us to consider the long-term impact of our actions, to think beyond the momentary satisfaction, and to choose paths that align with our values and our faith. But the story of the fall is also a story of redemption. Even in their disobedience, Adam and Eve are not abandoned by God. The narrative of Genesis 3 foreshadows the greater story of salvation, reminding us that even when we fall, there is hope for redemption and restoration. This is a powerful message for our own lives, that no matter how far we stray, God's grace is always available to bring us back. Finally, the fall of man challenges us to take responsibility for our actions. Adam and Eve's attempt to shift the blame, Adam blames Eve and Eve blames the serpent, only deepens their alienation. In contrast, taking responsibility for our choices is the first step towards healing and reconciliation. The story of the fall calls us to own our actions, to seek forgiveness where needed, and to strive for restoration in our relationships with God, others, and ourselves. As we reflect on the fall of man, let us remember that this ancient story is not just a historical account, but a living narrative that continues to speak to the human condition. It reminds us of the dangers of temptation, the consequences of disobedience, and the hope of redemption. It challenges us to live with integrity, to seek wisdom in our choices, and to trust in the grace of God to guide us through the trials of life. In conclusion, the story of the fall of man offers us deep insights into the nature of sin, the challenges of temptation, and the path to redemption. It is a narrative that resonates with the struggles we face in our own lives, offering both a cautionary tale and a message of hope. As we navigate the complexities of modern life, let us draw on the lessons of Genesis 3 to guide our choices, strengthen our faith, and seek the grace that leads to redemption. This has been The Heathen Link, where we explore the mysteries of ancient texts and their relevance to our modern lives. If you found this video thought-provoking, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content that challenges and inspires.